Positive coaching, the present and the future. Good evening, and welcome to Temple University and the Philadelphia Coaches Conference. Thanks to our hosts, Temple University School of Sport, Tourism, and Hospitality Management, for bringing us together this weekend. Tonight I have been asked to speak to you about the present and future of positive coaching. I have recently completed a class in my Master's of Education in Positive Coaching and Leadership at the University of Missouri called Sports and Applied Coaching Psychology. Each week we learned about theories and research that connected positive psychology and coaching, and we had to apply what we were learning to our current coaching and leadership jobs. According to the Missouri Institute of Positive Coaching, the foundations of positive coaching are teaching and modeling the process of success, leading a group to become a highly effective team, and nurturing intrinsic motivation in our athletes. The topics we covered gave us many tools to build this foundation. Dr. Rob Wood explained that some benefits of applying theories of sports psychology are an improved focus and ability to deal with distractions, growth in confidence, development of coping skills to deal with failure, and assistance in finding the right zone of intensity for competition. During my class, a topic that I took a deep dive into was how to build capacity for positive emotions in my athletes, why this was important, and some tools to use to foster positive emotions. I think we all can admit that most athletes have a bias toward the negative. One reason is because it is easier to think negatively and significantly harder to think positively. This is a tendency that must be overcome. Dr. Sullivan, my instructor, says that while negativity bias is important and does serve to protect us from danger, it can interfere with our well-being. It is easier to avoid and fix things when in a positive frame of mind. Because that is the case, one of a coach's goals should be to train players to use positive emotions to improve their self-efficacy and athletic performance, and to create a motivational climate that will promote those positive traits. One of the theories discussed in my class was Dr. Barbara Fredrickson's broaden and build theory. It says that positive emotions broaden our awareness and then build on the resultant learning to create future emotional and intellectual resources that can be drawn on later in other contexts and in other emotional states. If you have a positive reserve that you can draw on in times of stress, the more positive emotions you experience, the better you will be when you're trying to frame your self-talk in a positive way. Justin Foster, owner of the Excelling Edge, says that athletes who experience more positive emotions will think quicker, be more adaptive, and find better solutions to in-game situations. Doesn't that sound like the athlete we all need? According to Foster, there are at least 5 reasons to improve positive emotions with your team: improved mental agility, less stress, better problem solving, increased cohesion, and greater commitment. One of the many goals of servant leadership is to lead with positivity, and if we can use positive emotion to improve our players' well-being, they will perform better. When athletes become proficient at recognizing positive emotions and using them to fuel their positive self-talk, their confidence will grow. As their confidence grows, their performance will improve as well. In his book, Servant Leadership, Dr. Sullivan discusses how increased positive emotions are more likely to increase positive relationships. More engagement and accomplishment will enable us to feel higher levels of self-efficacy or competence in our lives, and finding activities that provide meaning is attaching to things that are important to us and doing so of our own volition, which increases autonomy. Positivity is important in all domains of our lives, including athletics, and can be increased in a number of ways, such as reducing unnecessary negativity and increasing positive emotions. Positive thoughts are essential to maximizing athletic performance because it's human nature to get caught up in the negatives associated with sport. Once an athlete has identified the positive, she then can begin to encourage themselves through self-talk to reinforce these positive thoughts because we have the ability to retrain our mind with positive emotions. During this fall, we were unable to practice or get our team together. Normally, we would have 6 weeks of 20 hours of team practices and about 6 weeks of individuals to work with our athletes. Very quickly, we realized that Zooms would need to be much shorter than those hours, and we needed to find something that would make us better, not bitter, when we finally got together in January. I proposed focusing on mental training, and having just been introduced to some game-changing topics of positive emotions and character strengths, convinced the staff to focus on this for the remainder of the fall. In regards to her broaden and build model of positive emotions, Fredrickson recommended ways that positive emotions can be fostered and cultivated. One of the strategies she suggested was by applying character strengths and virtues to your life. I had just taken the VIA Character Strengths Survey and written a paper on it, and it really helped me to see a different approach to dealing with stress, anxiety, and negativity from a place of strength. And in explaining the process to the coaching staff, we decided to build a program for our fall Zooms that would help increase the positive emotions in our players' lives and also help them recognize their signature strengths and to focus on when they use their strengths in good times and during their struggles. The VIA website reports that research has found that only 1/3 of people have an active awareness of their strengths. We wanted to make sure that our athletes and staff joined that group of 1/3 and learned to use our strengths to increase our positive emotions so that we could build up a reserve of positive emotions that we can access when needed. The first step in our plan was to get all the players and coaching staff to take the online survey. The survey returned results about the 24 characteristic strengths that we all possess in different degrees. Those results are put into 3 categories: top 5 signature strengths, 14 middle strengths, and 5 lesser strengths. I'd like to point out that none of these are called weaknesses, and if you use this with your athletes, and probably most anybody, that is how they will refer to them, and you will have to correct this until they change their thinking. Next, the players were asked to note their top 5 strengths, and we put them in small breakout rooms to discuss their thoughts and reactions to their results. This is where we heard some interesting comments. One coach said, "All of my strengths are squishy. No wonder I'm such a softie." Her reports revealed her top signature strengths as humility, honesty, humor, gratitude, and fairness. She was very uncomfortable with her results since, as she put it, those characteristics are the ones people always described about me as my weaknesses. This coach is anything but weak. In fact, she was a member of Team USA in her playing days. An athlete described her results as not surprising. "I have grown so much over this time of COVID and have become really in tune with myself, my emotions, and me as a person and my characteristics. I have been able to learn things about myself that I never paid attention to, or even knew I had them in me." After the discussions, we got about 5 texts from athletes thanking us for the activity and explaining that they were excited to continue with exploring their strengths. We left them with homework of choosing one of their signature strengths and using it in a new way over the next week, and told them to be ready to share what they learned. They reported their results in a journal. Our next meeting included some more discussions about how it feels to knowingly deal with struggles from a positive perspective using their strengths versus a negative one. They joined small breakout rooms to discuss their results. One athlete shared that fairness was my strength used. I was able to use my strength recently during the whole election thing. I was able to listen to people that had opposing views, and I was able to give them the benefit of the doubt first and be fair. This helps save relationships like friendships. I did feel better, maybe more confident because I knew that I was using a strength. Another athlete reported that my signature strength of kindness enhanced a good moment for me. I got a great review left by a customer, once again while at work. I actually received a raving review from a customer stating that I treated her with the utmost respect and kindness when I could have easily been short with her and her difficult order. The final activity of the meeting was to share what effect the journaling had on their emotions. Most athletes reported an increase in confidence that carried over to other aspects of their lives. Their homework for the next week was to keep a journal for the week and write down 3 things that went well that day and the causes for it. This was a specific positive psychology intervention that was designed by Martin Seligman and his associates to increase subjective well-being. They would report back their experiences in our final meeting of the fall semester. In week 3, after breakout room discussions, group members reported back, and in general, all groups shared that they all experienced general good feelings and a more positive outlook. Interestingly, most explained that during most of the good things that went well for them, they noticed that it almost always included the use of their signature strengths. Over the break, they are choosing a paragon of one of their signature strengths and trying to emulate them in their lives. After getting such positive feedback and the increase in participation in our team Zooms, we have committed to applying our signature strengths to our athletic performances at practices and games in the spring. According to Dr. Sullivan, there has been a good deal of research done that supports the idea that people who experience and express positive emotions have better relationships and experience higher levels of well-being, life satisfaction, and the ability to see the positive benefits of negative situations. Considering an athlete's propensity to be negative, focusing on positive emotions and character strengths might provide just the fuel needed to pursue excellence and perform at our highest levels. I challenge you to try some of these activities with your team and see if you don't get similar results. Thank you and good night.